Hello students and welcome back to my channel. Students, today we are going to get started with understanding the text of the chapter Indigo. And as I stated earlier during the introduction of the chapter, that it is about the plight of the sharecroppers of Champaran and how Gandhi was involved in this entire war, the battle against the British, and how his leadership qualities inspired many, the people living in Champaran, the sharecroppers, the lawyers, and how they fought together to bring justice to everyone, and how the battle was not only helpful for the sharecroppers but also for Gandhi and the people of the entire nation to learn and understand that courage can take them to independence and courage can lead them towards self reliance. So let's get started with the text of the chapter Indigo, and I will start with a quote that leadership is about making others better as a result of your presence and making sure that impact lasts in your absence too. And that is what Gandhi always did. He infused courage, he infused selfless attitude, discipline, persistent nature, and determination in his subjects. And that is how millions of people followed him in all kinds of movements, may it be Dandi March, may it be the Quit India movement, or may it be civil disobedience movement. He was a bony figure, but not weak. Some people furnished the spirit and motivation. He furnished the method to bring revolution in the world. His methods are applicable in today's life also, and it will be forever. Respect to the 1 in a trillion man. So let's get started. When I first visited Gandhi in 1942 at his ashram in Sevagram in central India, he said, "I will tell you how it happened that I decided to urge the departure of the British. It was in 1917. And who is I here in the first paragraph? It is Louis Fisher, who has written the book, The Life of Mahatma Gandhi, from which this chapter is taken. He had gone to the December 1916 annual convention of the Indian National Congress Party in Lucknow. There were 2,301 delegates and many visitors. Delegates means representatives. During the proceedings, Gandhi recounted, "A peasant came up to me looking like any other peasant in India, poor and emaciated." So peasant basically is a category including farmers, tenants and sharecroppers. And as Gandhi stated that he looked like any other Indian peasant, poor and emaciated. Emaciated is exploited. So as you can see in the picture that farmers over the centuries, over the years, their plight has not changed much. You can see the picture on the top is in black and white and the other one is colored. So times have changed. It has been decades that farmers have been struggling, but nothing has changed much. So at that time also the farmers were poor and emaciated. So this man came to Gandhi and said, "I am Rajkumar Shukla, I am from Champaran, and I want you to come to my district." Gandhi had never heard of the place. It was in the foothills of the towering Himalayas near the kingdom of Nepal. So this place Champaran is basically situated in Bihar near the Nepal district, Nepal kingdom, and now known as the country Nepal. Under an ancient agreement, the Champaran peasants were sharecroppers. Rajkumar Shukla was one of them. He was illiterate but resolute. So this person, Rajkumar Shukla, was an illiterate man, but he was very resolute. He had a very firm belief. His willpower was very strong. And here, right in front of you, the postal stamp issued by the government of India for honoring Rajkumar Shukla. After all, he was the first person who took that first step, and it would have been so difficult for him to go to a far away place, meet the national leader to solve his problem, the problem of all his friends also, the sharecroppers living in his area. So it would have been very difficult to take that first step, but he did so. And you can see Champaran also in the map. Moving forward with the text again. He had come to the Congress session to complain about the injustice of the landlord system in Bihar. And somebody had probably said, "Speak to Gandhi." Gandhi told Shukla that he had an appointment in Kanpur and was also committed to go to other parts of India. Shukla accompanied him everywhere. Then Gandhi returned to his ashram near Ahmedabad. Shukla followed him to the ashram. For weeks, he never left Gandhi's side. So you can see here that how resolute he was. And right in front of you is the Sabarmati ashram in Ahmedabad, which is being stated here in the text. And he kept on following Gandhi everywhere. That is why he is being termed as a resolute man. His tenacity was beyond limits. And he kept on begging, "Fix a date," he begged. Impressed by the sharecropper's tenacity and story, Gandhi said, "I have to be in Calcutta on such and such a date. Come and meet me and take me from there." Months passed. Shukla was sitting on his haunches at the appointed spot in Calcutta when Gandhi arrived. So this particular phrase, "sitting on the haunches," this is how you sit on your haunches. He waited till Gandhi was free. Then the two of them boarded a train for the city of Patna in Bihar. There Shukla led him to the house of a lawyer named Rajendra Prasad, who later became president of the Congress party and of India. Rajendra Prasad was out of town, but the servants knew Shukla as a poor yeoman who pestered their master to help the indigo sharecroppers. So Rajendra Prasad's house was in Patna, Bihar, and Rajkumar Shukla took Gandhi to this place, his residence, and then we have Mr. Rajendra Prasad, the first president of India. And when they reached there, he was not actually there. He was out of town, and the servants knew Rajkumar Shukla very well because he used to come over and over again asking for help. So they knew that he was a poor yeoman. Yeoman again is a farmer or a sharecropper, and who pestered their master. Pestered means annoyed their master again and again, and that is why they did not let him come inside also. So they let him stay on the grounds with his companion Gandhi, whom they took to be another peasant. But Gandhi was not permitted to draw water. Well, coming to this particular part, that why Gandhi was not at all being recognized by the servants was definitely because of his attire, his way of dressing, his simplicity. He was a simple man, and anyone would believe that he was another farmer or another villager. And that is why even the servants could not realize that they were actually asking the national hero, the great Mahatma, to sit outside Rajendra Prasad's house. But he was not permitted to draw water from the well, lest some drops from his bucket pollute the entire source. How did they know that he was not an untouchable? So this particular part shows us that how untouchability, that social stigma, was so much prevalent before the independence, and how even Gandhi became a victim of that. And maybe that is why he was too much involved in eradicating this social system and such social stigmas that were very much present and throbbing in India before the independence. Well, moving forward, Gandhi decided to go to Muzaffarpur, which was en route to Champaran, to obtain more complete information about conditions that Shukla was capable of imparting. So when Gandhi decided that he would take the case of Champaran sharecroppers, and he had only one man by his side, that was Rajkumar Shukla, and that is why he decided that he must gather more information from other sources. So this is how his leadership qualities come forth and shine, because he wanted to have all the required information before starting the battle. So you have to have your armor ready to go in the battlefield. In the same manner, he was collecting the data to go on a war against the British landlords. Well, he accordingly sent a telegram to Professor J.B. Kriplani of the Arts College in Muzaffarpur, whom he had seen at Tagore's Shanti Niketan. So this is Mr. J.B. Kriplani, Professor J.B. Kriplani, standing with Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. The train arrived at midnight, 15th April 1917. Kriplani was waiting at the station with a large body of students. Gandhi stayed there for 2 days in the home of Professor Malkani, a teacher in a government school. It was an extraordinary thing in those days. Gandhi commented, for a government professor to harbor a man like me. In smaller localities, the Indians were afraid to show sympathy for advocates of Home Rule. Here I will give you a small reference of what Home Rule was. Home Rule was basically being referred to as self-governance by the Indians, or it can also be termed as Swaraj. And Gandhi was one of the leaders who believed in that, along with Bal Gangadhar Tilak. And these people were definitely going against the British, and for somebody who was a government professor like Professor Malkani, giving shelter to someone who was out and out going against the British government was quite courageous, and that is why Gandhi referred to him as a courageous man who took a brave step by keeping him in his house. Well, moving forward, the news of Gandhi's advent is arrival, and the nature of his mission spread quickly through Muzaffarpur and to Champaran. Sharecroppers from Champaran began arriving on foot and by conveyance to see their champion. Muzaffarpur lawyers called on Gandhi to brief him. They frequently represented peasant groups in the court. They told him about their cases and reported the size of their fee. Now, when Gandhi arrived in the area and the sharecroppers came to know about it, they wanted to see that leader, that champion, the one who came from thousands of kilometers away to help them out. And they came on foot, they came through conveyance, and this shows that how involved they were. And Gandhi also met the lawyers who time and again represented the sharecroppers, and when the lawyers told him that what was the charge, the money they asked for their help or their work from the poor sharecroppers, that is when Gandhi was not at all happy, and Gandhi chided the lawyers. Chided is scolded. So Gandhi chided the lawyers for collecting big fee from the sharecroppers. He said, I have come to the conclusion that we should stop going to law courts. Taking such cases to courts does little good. Where the peasants are so crushed and fear-stricken, law courts are useless. The real relief for them is to be free from fear, and that was his vision. See, going to a law court, finally getting justice maybe, but still if you are in fear, then that justice will not help you at all, because you will always be in the clutches of fear and would never be courageous enough to fight against injustice over and over again. And that is why Gandhi was not in favor of going to the law courts if the law courts are unable to take people out of their fear. But more importantly, he scolded the lawyers a lot, because they were in a position to help these sharecroppers. And what they did, they charged high fee from those already crushed and fear-stricken sharecroppers. They would have helped them in a better manner. And that is why Gandhi was not happy about it. So, well, with this, I would like to close it for today, and close it for today stating that how Rabindranath Tagore too was in the same kind of vision, that becoming free from fear was the basic step to have independence. If you are always fear stricken, and if the fear doesn't go away, if you do not have the courage to live in your own country, to speak your own language, to follow your own culture, then it doesn't matter whether you are independent or not. And through his famous poem, one of the part of Gitanjali, which states in the very first line that where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, such a country was dreamed of by Rabindranath Tagore, and the same kind of vision was presented here by Mahatma Gandhi. So up until now we have learned that how Rajkumar Shukla and Gandhi both took that first step towards the battlefield which was a very difficult situation for both of them, going out and out against the British landlords. So in the next session, we will see that what then happens, how they fought, and how everybody came together to form a team. And when once it is a team, it cannot be defeated. So let's close it for now, and I thank you again for listening to me.